I think for all our members also, he is very well known because his asanas are published in one of the yoga books published by Ramakrishna Math. So that book, I think most of the people are carrying. So I think Santosh is there, and he works in Bapatla is volunteering, and he's been doing a lot of wonderful work. And the youth has to take a lot of motivation and inspiration from him. So it's a kind of dedication and the devotion he has in his service and in his practice. It's great. So especially the karma yoga, the seva, whatever he is doing, that we must appreciate. Apart from the teaching the Raja Yoga principles, but he is teaching with the Karma Yoga principles, which is basically the seva, with the seva minded, like how all the UK volunteers again before last 4 hours. It's wonderful work they have done. With the great teamwork, I should appreciate all the UK team. And the well coordination, Jayanti Sharad and Hemant Garu for last few days. He's been coordinating, and so much of effort you have all done. I can see last few years how much work you all have done to integrate and pass on this spread this knowledge, and keep it up. And I really appreciate, and it's a great teamwork. And the inspiration you have spread today, all we all, it's a teamwork in the 24 hours. I'm sure this is a unique event which we are doing, like at all the 24 hours here, celebrating without any break, which is a wonderful thing which we are seamlessly integrated and handing over properly. So I appreciate the coordination team, especially the handover between the Bhavanigar and Hemant. It's very seamlessly happened for India and UK handover. And I'm sure again Santosh is coming, and it's another wonderful session. Do not miss it. It's going to be the great learning for even for teachers, because he's been also teaching the teachers. So for all the yoga teachers, also stay on and gain this knowledge. And Santosh, welcome, namaskar, and a warm welcome to you for Manavata International Yoga Day celebration.
Thank you, sir.
You can start the session, Santosh.
Yeah, sir. Shall we ask them to switch on their videos?
Yeah, please, if you could switch on the video, maybe he can look into your asanas, adjust the asanas.
All about alignment of the asanas. Okay. So I'm asked to talk about types of asanas and importance of each type. First one. So like we can't exactly divide asanas into categories, but depending on our convenience, we can divide them into 4 categories, like standing, sitting, prone, and supine. Standing asanas are where we stand and do asanas. Sitting in sitting position. Prone means lying on the stomach. There are a few asanas where we perform on our stomach. And supine asanas are lying on the back. So these are the 4 broad categories. And depending on the posture, how you hold the posture, there are like other divisions like forward bendings, backward bendings, twistings, inversions. Here, like if you want to know the uses of the categories, we can divide them into these type of categories rather than standing and sitting. If we can see like twisting asanas, all twisting asanas increases blood circulation to the kidneys and it detoxifies the body. And all forward bendings increases blood circulation to your abdominal organs and to your lower back muscles. And it elevates the constipation. It's very good for digestion. And it strengthens and flexes the back. And all backward bending asanas. They strengthens the back muscles which hold the spinal cord and the spine. Inversions, where we keep our head down and take the legs up, like Sirshasana, Sarvangasana, Adho Mukha, Vrikshasana, Pincha Mayurasana, and all. They increase blood circulation to the head and brain. So they calm down the mind and it makes the brain agile. If we go to the second question, what is the preparatory pose? So before going to the advanced asana, we have to prepare our body. We have to make our body ready for the advanced asana. So like for example, you want to practice Sirshasana. So you can go straight away into Sirshasana because the blood rushes to your head and your brain may not take up so much of blood rush. So what you can do is, you can practice Adho Mukha Svanasana so that your body will be ready to take the blood rush. Like that for any advanced asana, if we can prepare the body, you will not get hurt. The chances of getting hurt will become less. Like you want to go to Vrishchikasana. First you need to strengthen your forearms, shoulders, and then you have to practice back bending. Then you have to go into Vrishchikasana. So likewise, for every advanced asana, there is a preparatory section where you have to take a few asanas. So for today, let us learn a few basic asanas to generally prepare our body to go into the intermediate or advanced level of practice. Through the asanas, we'll discuss the alignment of the body parts and the breathing and how we get into the posture and how we get out of the posture. So first we'll practice few standing asanas. First one is Tadasana. Tadasana is Sthiti. Sthiti is the starting position. So if you want to practice any standing asana, you have to come to Tadasana and then go into the posture. So first of all, you have to master Tadasana. I just show you how to do Tadasana. And if you can switch on your videos, it is easier to correct. The right. See, if you want to derive benefits to yoga, yoga is yogasanas or alignment of the body parts. If you align your body parts in certain way, you get benefits. And if you are not aligning rightly or properly, you will not be able to reap the full benefits of asana. So the getting the right alignment of the body parts into the asana is very much important. So I'll just show you the Tadasana. How to get into Tadasana. In Tadasana, you have to keep the feet together, toes and heels touching each other, and distribute the whole body weight equally on both the feet. Usually when we stand, we tend to stand like this. The most of my body weight is on one leg. This leg is not bearing any weight. There is a right way of standing to keep the brain active, mind active. You always have to stand erect with weight equally distributed on both the legs. So in Tadasana, we are learning that how to distribute equally. You have to stretch all the toes, point your toes, stretch your toes, spread your toes, and press the head of your toes. All the heads of your toes spread and press them to the ground firmly. And then distribute your weight on all sides of your foot. To do that, we practice one practice called centering. You just stand like this and you lean forward. Bring the whole body weight and the tips of your toes. See, my body is leaning forward. My whole body weight is on the tips. There's no weight on my heels. And now, slowly come back to center. Now lean back. Take your whole body weight back. The whole body weight is on the heels. There is no weight on the toes. Come back to the center. Now you can practice it, understand how to distribute the weight. And this is very important. Now lean towards your right, taking the whole body weight onto your right lateral side of your right foot. Like this. Your whole body weight is on only lateral side of the right foot. Come back to the center. And lean towards your left. The whole body weight comes to the left lateral side of your left foot. Again, come back to the center. Now to try distributing the weight, it is easier. So now you can stretch all parts of your foot and place them firmly on the ground. Pull up your kneecaps. Pull up your kneecaps. Tighten your quadriceps. Contract your glutes. My whole lower body is tightened up. There is no looseness in any muscle of your leg. So there is something called pelvis tilt. You have to tilt your pelvis so that your abdomen goes in. It's like this. See now, if you generally stand like this, stomach comes out a bit. Without pulling the stomach in, just have to tilt the pelvis in. When you tilt like this, see this becomes straight and the abdomen goes in, the glutes becomes tight and this full pelvis opens up. So one of the important aspects to align the body in every asana is called tilting the pelvis. I will show you one more time. Like this. Pelvis tilt. Now this tightens your abdomen, tightens your glutes. After tightening all the leg muscles, you have to do this pelvis tilt. This abdomen goes in. Now this bone is called sternum, which connects and ribs to the spinal cord. You have to push the sternum out to keep the spine straight. Now stretch out the arms or fingers pointing downwards. Now relax. Keep your feet slightly apart. Relaxing pose in standing positions. Feet slightly apart and find your hands flailing. So this is Tadasana, the basic standing posture. It is called Sthiti in standing position. This brings equilibrium in the mind. Usually we have two hemispheres in the mind, left and right. If we have one side of the brain activate, we'll have certain talents like logical brain. If we have other side, we will be more creative. And this brings equilibrium, as the Bhagavad Gita explains, Samatam Yoga Uchate. Equanimity is yoga. So this Tadasana brings equanimity and poise in the mind. So we'll practice one more time. Tadasana, please come to standing position. Keep your feet together, toes and heels touching each other. Now stretch your toes in all directions. Stretch your toes in all directions. Press your toes firmly to the ground. Pull up your kneecaps. Tighten your quadriceps. Contract your glutes. Tilt your pelvis. Push your sternum out. Arms straight. Breathe normally. Keep breathing normally by holding all the muscles tight. It looks so simple, but it's not as simple as it looks. Keep all your fingers together. All the fingers together. Keep pushing your sternum. Stretches your lower back. You have to hold the pose for at least 30 seconds to 1 minute to reap the benefits. There are two types of exercises, isometric and isotonic exercises. Yogasanas are isometric exercises where the length of the muscle remains same. Relax, Sthita Tadasana. If you can, please enable the videos because it's a practical session, not theoretical session. So this is Sthiti, starting position in standing asanas. If you want to practice any standing asana, you'll have to come to Tadasana. Not only standing asanas, even if you practice Vakrasana or Ardha Matsyendrasana, the leg which is kept perpendicular to the ground has to be kept in Tadasana. Now we'll practice few standing asanas with Tadasana's alignment. First one is Ardha Kati Chakrasana. Come to Tadasana. Ardha Kati, Ardha is half. Kati is waist. Chakra is wheel. We are going to form half wheel with our waist. So stand in Tadasana. Inhale, raise your right arm up. Twist your palm so that palm facing upwards. Inhale, take it up. Keep pulling your, not get any stretch in your shoulder blade or in your shoulder joint. Just pull it from your lower back and then stomach. You should be stretching your lower stomach and your lower back. Keep pulling it up. Like an exhalation, slowly bend towards your left. You have to bend in the same lateral side. You should not lean forward or you should not lean backwards. So you should bend exactly in that linear direction. You should feel the whole stretch in your right obliques. You do not feel any stretch in your shoulder blades. Now inhale, slowly come up, stretch up. Now again you have to stretch, pull your body and pull from your lower back. Now exhale and slowly bring your arm down. Relax in Sthita Tadasana. Close your eyes. Feel the changes. Feel the difference between your right lateral side and the left lateral side of the body. Your right feel more lighter than your left. You can feel the blood circulation in your right arm, in your right leg. Repeat the same on the other side. Slowly come to Tadasana. Stand erect. Put your sternum out. Slowly with inhalation, raise your left arm up. Twist your palm. With further inhalation, raise it up. Stretch it up. Pull your arm up. Stretch. And exhalation, slowly bend towards your right. Breathe normally. Never hold your breath in any position. Keep breathing. Stretch. Inhale. Slowly come up. Stretch up. Pull your body up. Stretch. Exhale. Lift your palm. Slowly bring it down. Again, relax in Siddha Tadasana. Keep your feet slightly apart. Hang your hands freely. Close your eyes. And observe the changes that happened in your body. There is a particular breathing pattern while going into the posture and while coming out of the posture. But while holding the posture, you should always breathe normally, never hold the breath. The general rule is whenever we are expanding the body, we'll have to inhale. Whenever we are contracting, we'll have to exhale. Whenever we are bending back, we have to inhale. Whenever we are bending forward, we have to exhale. Whenever we are taking body parts away from our body, inhale. Whenever bringing our body parts closer, exhale. These are the general rules. So while going into the posture, you maintain that particular breathing pattern. But while holding the posture, you'll have to do normal breathing, never hold your breath. And there is something called complementary. This asana is called self-complementary pose. To bring balance in the body, if you bend only one side, if you don't bend the other side, see, after practicing on one side, we observed the changes. We felt that one side of the body is lighter than the other side. So if you practice only one side, the one side body becomes loose, flexible, the other side becomes hard and rigid. So every time whenever we practice asanas, we have to do the complementary. We have to make it, equilibrium. It's called, this asana is called self-complementary pose. In some asanas, we don't practice on both sides. So for them, we'll have to do another asana to complement it, to balance the body. We'll practice Kati Chakrasana now, twisting asana. Slowly come to Tadasana. Kati is again waist, Chakra is wheel. So we are twisting our waist like a wheel. Again, spread your toes. You have to master Tadasana. We will take a few months of regular practice even to master Tadasana. Keep your feet slightly apart. You can keep them shoulder width apart. But they have to be parallel to each other. Usually, when we keep our feet apart, we tend to keep them like this. All toes pointing in opposite directions. So you have to be careful. They have to be parallel to each other. Just your toes inside. Now slowly with inhalation, Raise your right arm and place your right palm on your left shoulder. Left arm back. Just place it at your back like this. Now exhale and twist towards your left. Look over your left shoulder without twisting your legs. Keep your knees tight. Keep your lower body in Tadasana. Exhale and twist towards your left. And breathe normally. Do not bend your head. Keep your head in line with your spine. You don't need to look down, just have to look straight. We tend to bend sideways. Make sure you are standing erect with spine straight. Surya Prakash garu meer koncham pakkaki vangutunnaru. Keep your spine straight and head straight. Head in line with your spine. Usually when we twist, we tend to lean sideways. So make sure that doesn't happen. Now inhale and twist back. So while coming back, we have to inhale. From here till here, you have to inhale one single breath. Now with exhalation, slowly bring your arms down. Now with inhalation to the opposite side, left palm on your right shoulder, take your right arm back. This we should do with one inhalation. We'll try it again. Come, relax. Relax. With inhalation, we'll go up again. Inhale. Till here, one inhalation. Now exhale. Look over your right shoulder. Please make sure that both shoulders come in one single line. Keep breathing normally, do not look down. Slowly turn around with inhalation. With exhalation, slowly bring down your arms. So you'll have to follow this breathing pattern, inhale, exhale. But while holding the posture, you should always breathe normally. We'll try this pose again. This is Kati Chakrasana. So we'll not hold the pose, but we try the breathing pattern. Like with one single breath, you have to do. With inhalation, do this from here. Inhale. And from here, you exhale. Push back. And exhale. Inhale, come back. Exhale, bring your arms down. We'll try it once. Stand in Tadasana with feet 1 foot apart. Keep your legs tight. Pull up your kneecaps. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Come back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So that your both shoulders should come in one single line. Exhale. In whichever arm goes up, that side you have to twist. Usually people get confused when they keep the right arm up, they tend to twist towards your right, but you have to twist towards your left. Whichever arm is on the shoulder, that side you have to twist. This is Kati Chakrasana twisting pose. It increases blood circulation to the kidneys and it detoxifies the body. And this is called self-complementary pose because we are doing on both sides. We'll do one more self-complementary pose, which is Vrikshasana. Stand in Tadasana. So whenever we say Tadasana, you have to do all this, keeping the feet together, toes stretched out, pulling up the kneecaps, straightening the thighs, contracting the glutes, tilting the pelvis, pulling the abdomen, pushing the chest out. Everything you have to do. And in Tadasana, Vrikshasana, you have to raise your right leg up, place your right foot, the root of your left thigh. Try and bring the right heel closer to the perineum. Put it as high as possible. There should not be any gap here. Your left leg should be in Tadasana. See, now it is loosened. You have to keep it tight so that your body comes straight. And with the inhalation, slowly raise your arms up. Twist your palms. With further inhalation, take them up and let up Namaskar Mudra. Keep pulling your body up. Stretch it up from your lower back. You have to be careful whenever we stretch the arm up. We tend to stretch it either from the elbow or from the shoulder joint or from the shoulder blade. See, many of us do this. See, I'm putting my body up, but I'm feeling more stretch here in the shoulder blade. Here I don't feel any stretch. So you'll have to make this from the tip of your finger to your waist, one single unit, and pull it up. You have to pull the trunk up, not your arm. Keep pulling your body up so that you feel nice stretch in your lower abdomen and in your lower back, but not in your shoulder blades. Now exhale and slowly bring down your arms. Then exhalation till here. Twist your palms and slowly come down. Till here with one exhalation we come. And again with another exhalation we have to bring the leg down. And repeat the same on the other side. Slowly raise your left leg up. Here left toes should be pointing straight downwards. Many people keep their leg like this, but the balance. See, this is not the right alignment. My knee is tilted. Here in Vrikshasana, see, you take these two pelvic bones. These two should be in one horizontal line, and knee should be in the same pelvic point. But usually, in the beginning, we do it like this. See, my knee has come forward. These two pelvic points are not in one horizontal line. My body has twisted towards my right. You have to be careful with that. And this foot should be exactly parallel to your thigh. Bring it as high as possible. In the beginning, it is difficult, so people keep it little lower, but never keep it on the knee. Usually in the beginning, when we lose balance, we tend to move our body like this. See, when you move, you are putting a lot of pressure on the knee with the foot. So there's a possibility of getting hurt in your knee. So either you keep your foot below the knee level or above the knee level, but not on the knee joint. Well, people feel it more comfortable because this arch of the foot goes on the knee, and it brings more balance in the beginning. But it is not advisable because when we move like this, see, you are putting a lot of pressure on the knee joint. That is not good. You should not feel any pressure in any joint while practicing asana. You can feel the stretch in the muscle, but not pressure in any joint. This is the alignment in Vrikshasana. We'll practice some sitting asanas. as there is a sthiti in standing position, which is Tadasana. There is a sthiti in sitting position, which is Dandasana. Sthiti is a starting position. Sit with your legs stretched out. You have to stretch out your feet, point your toes, pull up your kneecaps, tighten the quadriceps muscles. Place your hands on the ground, palms on the ground, by side of your hips. All fingers pointing forward. Pull your spine up. Again, push the sternum out. And breathe normally, never hold your breath. Keep pushing your chest out, open your shoulders. Both the shoulders should be in one single line when you do. Usually, they come forward like this. You have to open up your shoulders, push the sternum out. Both shoulders should be in one single line. Shoulders should not go up or forward. This is Dandasana, the basic sitting posture, sitting position. We'll practice Paschimottanasana. From here, slowly inhale and raise your arms up. Stretch your body up. Pull your body from your lower back. Exhale and bend forward. Hold your feet. Pull your trunk out. Slowly move back. Push your chest out. And with further exhalation, go down. And breathe normally. Slowly come up. Stretch up. Pull your trunk up. Exhale. Come down. Relax in Sthitila. Dandasana. Keep your feet slightly apart. Heels facing each other. Take support of your hands. And just lean backwards. Sthitila Dandasana. Relaxing position in sitting asanas. In Paschimottanasana, strengthens the heart. Heart becomes very strong. But to get into the right alignment of the Paschimottanasana is not so easy. It is very, very difficult. So there are some preparatory asanas before attempting the Paschimottanasana. We learned two of them. Janu Shirshasana and Ardha Vardha Padma Paschimottanasana. To practice these asanas every day, they'll make us body ready for Paschimottanasana. First, let us see how to practice Janu Shirshasana. Janu is knee, Shirsha is head. So head to knee pose it is. So we keep our head on the knee. So first come to Dandasana, basic sitting position, Sthiti. Now fold your left leg and again bring your left foot, left heel closer to your root of the right thigh. And this angle should be obtuse angle. The angle between two legs should be obtuse angle, more than 90. So when we keep this angle more than 90, our body automatically twist towards the left. So my right leg is in this direction. My body has turned 45 degrees towards the left. So before bending forward, what we have to do is we have to twist the body first. You can place your hands on the ground and twist your body towards the right like this. Pull your spine up, pull your stomach out, keep your body extending in upward direction, and then twist. For this, even you can hold your right foot with your left hand and then twist. You have to pull the chest out before twisting. And then come back to normal position. Now raise your arms up. See now my body has turned towards the right. Now exhale and bend forward. Try and hold your foot. Pull your spine forward so that your stomach touches the thigh first rather than head going straight down. Do not try to keep your head on your leg. First you try to look forward. Raise your head up, stretch your throat, look forward, you pull forward so that the stomach is on the thigh, and then the chest. After placing the chest on your leg, you place the chin beyond the knee. And try and place your elbows on the ground. And breathe normally, never hold your breath. Keep breathing normally. Do not bend your head. Raise your head up and pull yourself forward. Now slowly the relation come up. Stretch your body up. Pull it up again. Pull from your lower back. You have to pull from your lower back, not from your shoulders. Exhale and bring your arms down. Exhale, stretch out your leg. Hold your right leg. Keep it in obtuse angle. And now twist your body towards your left. Pull your spine up. Pull the stomach out. Push your chest out and then twist. You can even hold your foot and twist. By twisting, you should feel a nice squeezing sensation in your stomach. Keep twisting. Now come back. Now inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale and bend. Keep breathing normally. Look forward, look forward. Do not look down. Push your chest out. Inhale, slowly come back. Stretch up. Pull your body up, stretch, stretch, stretch. Now exhale and slowly bring your arms down. Slowly with an exhalation, bring your arms down. Stretch out your leg. Come to Dandasana and relax in Siddha Dandasana. Paschima Uttanasana means Uttana means extreme stretch. Paschima is west region. So we are stretching our west region completely. But usually when we do any forward bending, we tend to contract the body muscles. But as a matter of fact, we have to expand the body. So before going into Paschimottanasana, you'll have to try and master these two asanas, Janu Shirshasana and Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana, to make these calf muscles and hamstring muscles flexible enough to take our body into Paschimottanasana. Now we learn how to do Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana. Sit in Dandasana. Hold your left leg. Place your left foot on your right thigh. Bring the heel closer to your pelvis bone. Slowly with an inhalation, take your left arm back. Try and hold your left foot. If you can hold your left foot with your left hand. Now, inhale, raise your right arm up. Exhale and bend forward. So if you cannot hold the foot, you can use some rope or cloth, a towel or a dupatta. You can wrap it to the foot and you can hold that cloth. And when we bend forward, we have to twist our left shoulder down. Inhale, slowly come back. Stretch it up, pull up, pull up. Exhale. Slowly bring your arms down. Stretch out your left leg. Fold your right leg. Bring the heel closer to the pelvis bone. Take your right arm back and try and hold your right foot. Open up your leg and place your right knee on the ground. Inhale, raise your left arm up and exhale and bend forward. Twist your right shoulder down. Keep twisting your right shoulder down. Pull your sternum out. Push your chest out. Suck your abdomen in. Pull your spine out. Now inhale. Slowly come up. Stretch up. Pull your body up. Stretch. Exhale. Relax. This is Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana is forward bending. Ardha Baddha Padma. Padma is lotus. We are doing half lotus. Ardha Padmasana. And this is Baddha Padmasana, bounded lotus. So Ardha Baddha Padma, we are bending forward, Paschimottanasana. And this is self-complementary pose. By mastering these two asanas, Janu Shirshasana and Ardha Bhadra Padmasana, will help us learn Paschimottanasana the right way. If you do not master these two asanas and try to do Paschimottanasana, we tend to involve wrong muscles in Paschimottanasana and you may hurt your back. So you'll have to be careful while practicing forward bendings. You should not feel any pressure or strain or tension in your back muscles. All forward bendings are about the flexion of your leg muscles, back of the leg muscles. So like this, for few advanced asanas, we have to practice some preparatory poses to get the right alignment of the asana. If you want to learn any other asanas, you can just ask so that we can discuss the preparatory poses for them.
Yeah, you have any questions? You would like to know the preparatory poses for any asana? You can answer it for a couple of minutes.
The general rule is if you have any back issue, you should not bend forward. You can try backward bending asanas, but never try forward bending asanas. But even backward bending asanas, you have to learn the right alignment. The contraction expansion, you should be able to differentiate. Usually when we do any forward bending or backward bending, we tend to contract. But we are not supposed to contract, we are supposed to expand the body. Even, say, I'll just show you Ardha Chakrasana, backward bending asana. In Ardha Chakrasana, we just do this backward bending. Now I'm feeling so much of strain in my lower back. But in actual Ardha Chakrasana, you should not feel any strain in your back. So without learning the right method of backward bending, you should not practice backward bending even in back pain. So while bending back, you should push the sternum as high as possible so that your lower back is stretched out completely. And then you try and bend back. Now it relaxes and even expands the back. There's a lot of difference between this and this. So you should learn the right alignment before practicing asanas for any therapeutic purposes. Even otherwise also, if you can learn the right way, you can reap the right benefits.
Yeah, question from Ash. How many minutes do you suggest to hold the pose for someone who is starting newly?
30 seconds. And there is no hard and fast rule like you should hold for 30 seconds or so, depending on the body constitution and capacity. Some people are strong enough, even though they are beginners, they're strong enough to hold it for 1 minute. Some people, even they practice for 1 year, they can't be able to hold it for 30 seconds. So you'll have to listen to the body, be discriminative. But even 20 to 30 seconds is prescribed.
Any other questions from anyone? Type in chat window, please.
For sinusitis, apart from Jalaneti and deep breathing pranayama, is there any other thing? Because
inversion asanas like Shirshasana and Sarvangasana, inversion asanas like Shirshasana, Sarvangasana, they increases blood circulation to your head region. If you can't do Shirshasana directly, there are no other options. Like if you try Iyengar style, they can just hang you upside down using some ropes or some blocks. If you keep your head down and body up, blood rushes to your head and face. that relaxes and relieves sinusitis.
Okay, so I can do Sarvangasana.
Sarvangasana
Sorry,
is very good. Sarvangasana is
and
mother of
also
all asanas.
Shirasasana. I can do Shirasasana as well. So, do you recommend
Perfect.
to do it regularly,
And
Shirasasana?
again, yes. If you do
And
not
how
have high
long?
blood pressure, all
And
inversions are very beneficial. But if you have high blood pressure or any problem related to your neck or vertigo, you should not attempt inversions.
yeah, and how long do you recommend to be in Shirasasana?
Depending on from how long you're practicing, start with 30 seconds and slowly increase it to 5 minutes. Gradually increase it to 5 minutes, but you start with 30 seconds.
Okay.
But again, try to get the right alignment. Otherwise, you may tend to hurt your neck because the whole weight falls on your neck in Shirshasana. You have to distribute the whole body weight on both the elbows and onto the head equally in the beginning. As you advance the asana, the whole body weight comes only on the head. But in the beginning, you should not take the load on your head completely. You should distribute the weight among your elbows and head.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And another thing is for skin problems, eczema and dry skin and things like that. Is there any specific course of asanas or breathing exercises you do?
Yeah. The general rule is inversions are very good for all problems. The Shirshasana and Sarvangasana. It increases blood circulation to the whole body. But if you are on some specific body part, like your hamstrings or on your biceps, some skin issue, you can do asanas which stretch those parts. Like if you have some problem here, you try and stretch that. In forward bending, you pull that part. If you have any skin problem in your hamstrings, you do forward bendings. If you have any skin problems in your front region, you do backward bending asanas. So apart from inversions, depending on which part you are having the skin disease, you try and stretch that part.
For example, in the armpits.
In the armpit. See, you can do this. The first asana we did, Ardha Kati Chakrasana. Stretch it and do this. And Chakrasana, where you stretch this completely.
Okay, thank you.
Along with the inversions, Shirshasana and Sarvangasana, they are highly beneficial. Along with inversions, you can try these stretching asanas.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, thyroid asanas. It's the last question. We're going to wrap up.
Yeah. And for thyroid, you can practice Sarvangasana. Sarvangasana is the mother of all asanas. It is a panacea for all the problems. If you have any problem, you try Sarvangasana. From 30 seconds, you gradually increase it to 10-15 minutes and practice 15 minutes of Sarvangasana every single day without failure. For ladies, not during periods, leave the 3 or 5 days. Apart from those days, you have to practice every single day. There is something called Jalandhar Bandha. Like for thyroid, it's very nice. Jalandhar Bandha is a chin. Bandha is a lock. Jalandhar Bandha is chin lock, where you lock your chin in between your collarbones. This happens perfectly in perfect Sarvangasana. If you can do the right Sarvangasana, it can relieve you from thyroid problems. And of course, you can try Matsyasana, Bhujanga, Dhanurasana, and Chakrasana. But again, coupled with Sarvangasana.
Thank you very much, Santosh. It's very informative sessions with the practical, how we need to do for asana, how to stretch your body, how to hold the pose and bending, and what are the inversions, and how to do backward bending and forward when you do preparatory poses. And this is very, very important information, but the people are missing. They just do like trying to get the result. But while going to the final pose, how we are even learning the journey and stretching our body and feel that calmness even doing asana. Not only the meditation, even to when we are doing the asana, that stability has come, and just to acknowledge
The
that.
definition of asana is Stiram Sukham Asana. Steady, comfortable posture is called an asana. You do the
Yeah.
right pose. In any asana, you can meditate.
Yes.
That asana
Exactly.
becomes meditation.
Yes. So we all think only during our meditation, our body should be still, but even the asana also. Thank you very much, and it's an honor to have you from Bhagavata team.
Thank you.
This is one more zone we are extending from India, from UK to US.